So I wanted to, the reason for asking you all to come together is to provide a little bit of an update on the new Fire Station 4 project and to kind of get a sense of direction moving forward from you all. We had bid openings last week and we had 4 bidders, and that review process is still ongoing. I do have a number on the lowest bid that came in, but there's some validation and that sort of thing that's still taking place by the purchasing department. There's a few things particular I want to point out about the building and kind of what's kept me up all weekend, because it's going to come in above budget.
Can you please remind us, Chief, what the budget was?
So we will have $4 million on the new, as the new budget rolls over is the plan. And a few things that I have identified is, okay, we're coming in over budget. So what now? And I'm trying to exhaust all my avenues and all my thoughts about it really before we got to this meeting today. And there's a few things that I want to mention about this station as a reminder before I say a few other things is, you know, this station, the one it's replacing, was built in 1964. It's 60 years old this year. And couple of the biggest things is it's too small. Not all of our trucks will even fit in that station. If we have a equipment outage and all that, it's really causing some logistical challenges to get replacement equipment in there because trucks have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as time's gone by. But one of the goals with this station was to have a place that we could house a reserve apparatus and potentially one of our rescue pieces of equipment, one of our trailers. That's not a have to, but it's certainly would be an advantage to us if we could. But in this station, we've got it laid out for 4 people to house day by day, every day. And we've got a couple of extra rooms. One of them, there's a small, much smaller than this conference room. There's a fitness room that the current weight equipment and things that we use at the station we would relocate into. And there's a small meeting room that again is about maybe 3/4 of the size of this current room we're sitting in, maybe just a little smaller than 3/4. But the rest of it, I'll show you an overview with the roof off of it in a minute so you can actually see what the layout is. There's not any wasted space per se. We had to put in an area of refuge shelter type room in it by code. But we tried to stay away from flat roofs if at all possible, due to maintenance and maintaining leaks down the road. So this station has 3 pitched roofs on it. These 2 roofs here, I'll use, this is a front view. This roof and this roof are both at a 1 in 12 pitch. I'm sorry. It's this roof in the rear and this one. They're both at a 1 in 12 pitch, and this is at a 5 in 12 pitch, turning all the water from the roof to the outside edges all the way around. One of the things that I was looking at is as a means to try to save money or cut cost on the building was this front apparatus room is 2 bays wide for 2 trucks, but there's a high wall in the front. So I was looking at what can we do to bring that wall down, and there's 2 things that have come up. Number one, if I bring that wall down, I can't use this sloped roof design like we have, because it is interfering with the attachment, the joining building, the wing that comes off here. If I drop this down, that eliminates that. I have to redesign the whole entire roof structure, this one over the apparatus room. And the option without just wiping the board clean and starting over is to put a pitch roof that comes up and makes a pitch like this. And the feedback that I received over the weekend says, well, you're just moving material from here to here. It's not a cost savings, you're just transferring the material. You know, there's a high wall here, and I've got brick and structural support. I'll actually have more square footage of roof covering if I put a pitched on it, because you lose distance in your heights, those kinds of things. I don't know how to get that off there. Does anybody know? If it'll just get out of my way, that'll be good. So that is a component that I was trying to look and see if is there something that we can do to, save a point of cost. This screen is where the HVAC units are gonna be mounted on the roof under the current design. This is, again, all three of them are sloped, but just as an explanation, that's what that is. If you'll, let me, maybe it's just one page here.
Chief, you have not told us how much over budget this is going.
So we're about $750,000 over. Come in at, the lowest bid come in at $4,718,000.
Inside the facility, will you have male and female?
That's what I was about to show you.
Do you have that at any firehouse now?
We, not practical. Fire Station 2 out on Florence Boulevard East, like you're going out of town towards Killen, it has a bedroom that's separate from everyone else, and it has a single toilet and single shower tub that could be used from a female's perspective, but that's the only other place that you don't share living quarters, you don't share bathrooms. Bathroom, toilets, and showers. When I say bathroom, I'm talking about all components. So this is a layout of the building. This, I'll show you the apparatus room down here. This would be the front of the building to the north.
So that's mahogany, it's facing.
Yes, this is mahogany and Franklin running down the side. And basically, I'll just go around the room. We've got a training room. This is the fitness room, radio communications room, and you see the small square footage in each one of these rooms, 300 square feet, 215 for the fitness room. The lieutenant's office, kind of a foyer area. One thing that we wanted to do, you know, we have at a fire station, it's a public building, we have a lot of people come in from the outside. But this is also the people that work there, it's their home. They spend, you know, a lot of time in these stations. So we want to have a way to buffer just anyone that walks in off the street. So that's why you see this lobby area that's partitioned with a door. Someone can come in. We have a proposed little sitting area that, you know, we have a lot of people that stop and need their blood pressure checked, or somebody's brought them to the fire station, they're having a medical emergency or that sort of thing. In this area, the purpose of it gives us a place to hold someone without having to get inside where our people live. And you don't have any cross contamination, you don't have any aspects from that perspective to deal with. And there's also a public unisex toilet there. This is the station company's, the office that would be shared by 3 people, the 3 shifts, lieutenant's office. We've got the safe room, storm shelter room here. We'll cover that in a minute. We'll just progress down a corridor hallway. This is the kitchen and living room, dining room, you know, everything takes place right there. We've got 3 bedrooms back here. Each bedroom has a pull-down Murphy bed, so that, you know, there's a guy or a person sleeping in each one of these. There's a third one around the hallway individually, but each man has his own bed. They don't have to share beds. One A shift is on, hypothetically that's their beds, you know, B shift, so on and so forth. But there's a little bit of not only privacy, if we have it across gender type situation, male, female, anything to deal with, but we also have a reduction in infection control. One thing that we learned with COVID is when you put a group of people in a room together, and it doesn't matter if you wear a mask during the day, you don't wear them at night when you go to bed, and you sleep beside of each other, and in 2 days everybody at that shift is sick at that station. So that is one of the major reasons for trying to separate these bedrooms. The lieutenant's office would have a bed, Murphy style bed that would fold down, and then there's the 3 bunk rooms in the rear that would give your 4 personnel a place to sleep, basically. We've got mechanical rooms. This is equipment storage, lawn equipment, that you know, gasoline, that sort of stuff. Paint, just normal station supplies.
And where's the generator gonna be?
That's on the next, I think, slide I'll show you. It'll actually be sitting right out here, because there's a rear entrance drive we'll look at in just a second. But we have the main shower and locker room. This is what the bulk of everybody would use. This This rear bedroom back here also has a single toilet and locker and shower, if there should be, someone who needs something, more private, not a shared space. The PPE storage and washroom, this is a section, it's 2 rooms that is actually ventilated separately and partitioned off of the building, because our gear has a lot of carcinogens and things like that on it, and they carry those back to the station, and up until today, this potential opportunity here, we don't have a good place to keep that isolated, and under the codes today, it requires that to be separate from living quarters, especially people that go off shift or while things are being washed and it's off gassing, to keep it away. So there is a negative pressure in this room and the apparatus room that vents to the outside 24/7, always, to keep those harmful gases and that sort of thing coming off the gear. And that's really the whole entire deal right there. As far as the living quarters go, we did include a small patio area. I think there's a dimension in a minute. I think this is it's like 10 feet roughly. We'll look at it in just a second, because there's one that has all those measurements on it. That's right outside of the kitchen area, that sort of thing. All of this is appliances. We had proposed a little island, because the current station has snack machines in it. I think they've decided they're probably not going to continue with that, so that's something that we would repurpose that small space for. But is there any questions about that simple, kind of really simple layout? There is a lieutenant's office, a training fitness room, a foyer reception area. We've got a safe room here. We've got our day use room, our dining and kitchen area. Our sleeping quarters is back here. Again, this is equipment storage, mechanical rooms, electrical rooms. There's a laundry, I didn't mention that, and a shower room.
So that kitchen area, I mean, like station 1, you got recliners down there, would that be in that?
It would everything from cooking space to day room use, all that would be in that same, it's 273, and you might as well say 300 square feet together. Almost 600 square feet of all of that.
But it's all connected.
It's all open floor plan in that area, yes.
Chief, does
Yes.
the amount you gave us also include furnishing this facility?
Most of that, the only thing we're gonna have to do, which I've built some of that into the budget, in my regular operating budget, to replace station seating and all that sort of thing. The only thing we'd have to cover is the cook stove in the kitchen, refrigerator, things like that. And there's a desk that would probably need to be acquired at some point. There's a wall-mounted tabletop proposed in the drawing, but the lieutenant doesn't have an actual desk to sit at. He doesn't at the station he's at right now. There's literally not room in there.
And
Go ahead.
oh, thank you. So per shift, there's 4 people.
Yes.
Okay, so the one where there's only 2 beds,
That is an error in drawing. There's another bed that comes off this wall.
okay, so
Yes.
everybody
Would have their own space, yes.
Thank you.
We've got exterior doors. This is a mechanical room. This is from the living quarters to the outside. This dumps into the apparatus room. These are exterior doorways, and there's an exterior doorway there. Again, that's just a lawn and equipment storage area. 147 square feet, very, very small space. Any questions about that? Let's see if I can.
Anything that's currently at the facility right now, are you able to use?
Yes,
There.
we will be relocating. Let me get up just a little if I can move it without going too far. I'm going the wrong way with that, yes.
Does the 4.7 include paving Broadway, so you won't wear out your engines
No.
running down that?
We'll talk about that and the water and gas and all that in just a moment. So this is the
Broadway needs to be
apparatus room.
paved.
This is 2 trucks wide, and this is 80 foot deep. It takes about 52 feet to get our ladder truck in there. So there is some, I'm gonna say if there's anywhere, there's some extra footage there that is not required. I'm not a fan of moving into something that you have no space in, but it is what it is. It's 80 feet long, interior wall to interior wall, and it takes about 52.5 feet to get a ladder truck parked in there.
And your height is okay for those?
The height is fine, yes. This, anything we've got would fit in this building. So to answer your question about relocating, the PPE wash equipment would be relocated to out here. The vehicle exhaust removal equipment, all of that would be relocated from the current Station 4 to here. We would have to add a little bit of tubing onto one of them, one section of it, but very minimum cost for that. The bulk of all of the equipment that's at the station and the bulk of the cost would all transfer.
And that's what hooks
To
to
here.
the exhaust.
It is. It gets the exhaust out of not only the apparatus room, it doesn't let it leach into the living quarters of the station, under the doorways and all that sort of thing. So, if there's no questions, let me go down here to the next page and, that one, I think it's the next one, this picture.
What was your highest bid?
$1 million more.
Okay.
There's $1 million within 4 bids on the spread. That's actually not the one I was looking for.
And the city owns that property now?
Yes, we purchased the property, for $159,600 in June of '23. And it's 6 lots that was combined together over 4 parcels, and.
So the pickup trucks that park there daily now are just using it because they want to?
Yeah,
You've seen them too?
I left a friendly note with him the other day that asked him to, nicely find him somewhere else, that there was some very near plans for the station coming, and, it would help us all if he would kindly find somewhere else to park.
Did he respond?
For the last 3 days, it's not been there. The last 3 business
Well,
days.
he
it's not
responded.
been there.
Hadn't been there since last weekend, so.
Well, I drove by 2 or 3 times Thursday and a couple times Friday, and it was not there. And I've been there today, and it's not there. It was not there this morning. So I skipped over, let me find. There's another view, looking down on it, that shows the street and, the parking lot, I should say. Well, so, that is it per se, but not the exact, there's one that's color. But looking down on the building, this is again the front, the north side of the building, the fire truck would exit. We've got visitor public parking in the front, employee parking in the rear. Mary, you were asking about the generator, that's the generator placement for backup power, and that's the utility service transformer, ground mounted transformer. That would supply, what we have, the way we've laid this out is under code now for fire stations, stopping in the street, even though that's not a heavily traveled road at the moment, but backing in off the street is not at all recommended under code anymore. So this corner lot gave us the ability to have a rear entrance and drive into the apparatus room park and leave the front of the station, when they're either going on a call or wherever. We included because this is right now proposed to be like a one-way drive, and there's a narrow, single lane wide exit for employee parking or visitors that park out to the rear or anything like that. There is the picture I was looking for, There's a retention pond out here. It would not hold water except right immediately after a heavy rain. It would not collect as a pond, but there is a retention area here. There's a natural drainage ditch at the rear of the property that we purchased that's got at a tree line back here. We would not be changing anything with that, but there would be a retention gathering pond right here for water runoff from the station. Everything is graded to turn to that and eventually make it to that natural drainage ditch. that's
What
in the
about
rear.
buffer?
Say again,
What about buffer, like, you have to have a buffer for,
are you talking about setback from the road?
no,
Or-
but like buffer you'd have in a neighborhood with trees and
No, there's
shrubs.
nothing by code. What we would do is if we can get this approved and built at whatever it looks like, wherever the patio's at, I'm gonna have the on-duty guys build a small privacy fence to just give a little bit of privacy there. The rest of it is inside or opposite.
But by
from-
code, you don't have to have that into the neighborhood.
Correct. We have included to, as far as noise issues with the public and that sort of thing, we've got a system that the radio shop would put in the station. We can designate whatever time of the evening or night that it basically turns the outside speakers off. That sort of thing, so the station is pretty quiet from the exterior at night, since they're nearby neighbors, but, those would obviously come back on during the daytime hours.
So
We
can I-
talked about very early on, not turning your siren on,
Yes,
to pull out with it blaring, but wait till you get over
Yeah.
to Broadway. Of
we,
course, it'd probably jar you when you get
Sure.
over there.
we certainly are gonna be, we're aware of there's close neighbors, and we'll be good neighbors to them, and I've sent that message to everyone there that's had any questions to this point.
Have you had any questions in regards to the neighbors?
Not anything of significance, just some questions. We have had one,
Did they welcome you? Are they welcome?
I'm gonna say mostly neutral. A couple of neighbors said, good, glad to have you here. One neighbor is not as keen to it being there nearby. I think there's probably some reasons for that. It really has nothing to do with it being a fire station. There's some other elements in play, maybe.
I've had some calls and I passed on the fact that they won't come out of the building with their siren on, which the people on Broadway wouldn't appreciate it, but you already go down Broadway and they're used to hearing it. And when they're on Broadway, they're at full speed as far as response as opposed to pulling out. And you're gonna pull out and then have one or two turns before you're actually going anywhere.
I had a question there for you.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Back where you were, so I assume it would appear you got six parking places in the back and 4 in the front?
Yes.
And then you got, when you first come in, is that for a dumpster?
There's a dumpster pad.
The bottom line.
This is touchscreen.
Right there as you're coming into the back?
As you're entering here, there's a dumpster
Okay.
pad there, yes.
Okay.
There's a flagpole that's in the underground wiring for flag lights. We have spent a lot of time, there's a team of guys that's really contributed a lot of information, a lot of feedback in the department, trying to cover as many bases as we can possibly think of, so that we don't have to deal with that down the road. There's always that element that's in play, and I won't pretend like it's not, but we have spent a lot of time trying to, there's the detention pond I was talking about earlier. This is the natural drainage area, there's a tree line back here. This is the picture I was looking for earlier. This is all concrete. This portion here and in here is heavyweight concrete. This is just standard duty stuff here, like your residential driveway would be.
Is that also factored into the price, the
It is.
entire lot?
Yes.
So this
The
contractor.
property, no, that is totally separate. This is just developing the property as it sits now and getting the fire station built.
No, I meant the paving.
Oh, the paving, yes
Yes.
ma'am, yes, it is, and my bad. So any questions or comments? I guess what I'm looking for now is it's coming in higher over budget. And I guess I'm looking for a sense of direction from you all, what you feel like,
I know there
where
was,
you wanna go
I
from
know
here.
there's one thing that we included that was somewhat more expensive, and that was the the doors in front.
The bay doors, yes, they are substantially more expensive than the overhead. And what you get into, I think it was this picture, right? I can see it right here, if I can drag that over. So, these are the bay doors. Well, that's basically two louvers on a door, it's split in the middle, and it opens sideways instead of overhead. The doors are much more expensive to purchase on the front end. The maintenance and the cost and replacement, the safety, all the things is why you see fire stations all over this country go into it. There's no blind spots, there's no trucks hitting doors, there's no doors coming down on people, there's none of those kinds of issues. The maintenance is minuscule compared to the current overhead doors that we use. And,
How was the $4 million mark arrived at?
Well, when we first started this project, we were, I was looking and hoping for between 3 and 3.5 million. And there's enough time that's passed since that started, and that time, I think the trend is probably gonna continue as you go by in time, things are gonna continue to go up. Contractors I know have built in a buffer, counting on a year from now, things being higher than they are today. That's part of it. I had kind of talked to Shayna a little bit. I said I was getting the feeling of, I told her don't be shocked if it's 4.5, and I can tell you that the architects that were working on this plan, it's a $500,000 above what they anticipated. But
When you looked at the budget proposals that came in, where did you see the most cost increases?
It's everywhere, but some of the materials and labor costs are way up, but materials is way up. I mean, the concrete itself, just in buying concrete, I've just recently poured a large slab myself, and it's a lot higher than it was just a little while ago. So all of those components are
So
going
when
up.
you say heavy duty, you're also talking the thickness.
Thickness, the density and thickness for those trucks, weighing 68,000 pounds, and you're building a fire station that's a 50, 60-year investment, it's gotta hold up, cause you dig that up, you're talking about 10 inches of concrete with dual reinforcement rebar and all of that in it. That's a substantial issue. That can cost you a lot more money down the road.
What year was Huntsville Road built?
It's 1964.
You know where it was before it was on Huntsville Road?
I do, Ranger batteries.
And it's still up and still being
It's
used.
still
Ranger
being
Battery
Yeah.
was,
The Ranger battery near the roundabout,
Yes.
that was the first.
that
was-
was Station 4
Prior to
until
1964.
64.
Yes.
Well, Shayna, walk us through the ability of, what does this look like from your perspective? We're over budget, let's talk about that. How do we manage that?
Well, and I've talked to Chief about it, and, there's, it was kind of taking, we'll make it work. If it comes out of general fund and it comes out of our reserve, we can do it that way. I've looked at, and with the bond issue that we've done for the Park and Rec, if we maybe take the excess from that bond issue, because we have about 26 million sitting there. Of course, we do have Veterans Drive to finish out, but if we cut some of the phases of McFarland, not that, I hate to do that, but we look at, okay, McFarland, what really needs to be done first, and then phase it in later, and, finish the pier, redo the campground, upgrade some of it, but if we need the excess to finish this station, then there's that funding.
What about the land where the current station is sitting on? Are we planning to sell that?
So I don't know that a decision's been made on that. I don't know, but that land is very valuable, but it could be something to contribute if that decision's made to sell. The fire department doesn't have a use for it. I don't need another facility to have to maintain or upkeep, especially in the shape that station's in. I don't need it.
And we've talked about this in other meetings, Shana, we don't like to hang on to those things.
Right.
Let it go back. So I
Well,
don't know what the fair market value for that piece of property is right now.
and even knowing, you know, the size of the building, kind of the repairs they've had to do to it, I mean, there's no need for us to, you know, I don't know if other departments would want it, but honestly, I don't know of any reason why we should keep it. And even if we sell it for, you know, a little, it's,
Well, you actually have a lot beside, you know,
Right.
we bought
Yes.
a house there and, you know, had it torn
Right,
down, but, you know, and the hope was we'd been able to develop it, but
right.
you couldn't pull in from the back because of utilities back there.
Utilities, there was gonna be a substantial cost to relocate power lines going, you know, that fed the neighborhood. That was a substantial cost.
So the timeline, if you were to start now,
So at this point,
Hello.
you know, again, I wanna reemphasize that the final process of bid review is ongoing by the purchasing department. But, I think we should be within a few days of them putting their stamp on something and, you know, GMC says they could have it ready to go out and a notice to proceed 3 to 4 weeks from whenever we give the nod and approval.
So GMC is the one that did.
Yes, yes, ma'am. We've,
They said, I'm sorry, what'd you say, how much time?
3 to 4 weeks after we, if and when we approve.
And what's the timeline?
We're pushing for a year,
A year?
on build, if, that's what we're pushing for, supply and demand.
so
for
if that
build
was,
issue.
if that was a year, could you put additional funds in it in the next budget?
We would, yes, before we got to any substantial completion, we would be looking at another budget year.
yeah, we could cross
So,
budget years.
so technically,
We could.
the overage could be in the next year.
Yes.
How much is our budget this year increasing?
With the revenue or just over, I mean,
The budget.
it's a $88 million budget.
Last year was at 85? Okay, so it's 3 million.
I'll take your word for it on 85, I don't have it memorized, but it's
That's good enough.
$88 million budget.
And there's a pay raise in?
Yes.
I don't think you wanna build it any less. And I haven't been able to find any fluff. And so, and your room's like the workout room is 300 square feet.
That's,
Even your living room with the kitchen in it
right,
is very small.
it is, it is.
I don't know that I'd wanna live with 3 other men in that room. Especially if I didn't get to pick them.
So- One thing that we have dealt with in the department a couple of times in the last few years is having an issue and someone not being able to stay in their current station. We had a bed bug issue in one of the stations, and we had to vacate, for about a week and a half. And, you know, there was a lot of extensive work done in that station to get it clean again. These rooms could be utilized if another station had to vacate. Instead of sleeping out here beside the truck, which we've had to do, literally, hanging plastic curtains from the ceiling down to try to create, I have no desire to ever have to go through that again, our guys to go through that again. This would potentially give us some spillover if we should have some kind of catastrophic event that caused us to vacate another station. And it also could give us a place to swap a truck and run something out of there active, where right now we'd be parking on the side of the street overnight with an apparatus, and that's not a good situation.
And the generator is gonna be a whole building?
The
It's not gonna
generator will supply the whole building, but essential services in the building. It's one generator, but it won't power 100%, but it will we went through and identified the key areas, and it has all of that covered. One of the biggest things with the generator was getting heating air availability, particularly that for the whole building.
So no issues with getting gas, water,
No, gas,
electricity?
water is there. On this side of the street on Franklin, there's a water line that's gonna be put in that comes off of Huntsville Road. We're gonna have proposed to do a cost share with the water department. We're gonna buy the material, they're gonna do the work, all the way up to the fire station, and they have an enhancement to the water line system in that neighborhood that they're gonna carry and go further north. But from the street, from Huntsville Road to the fire station, it'd be a cost share between us and them.
And
to get
where's,
the water.
where's the sewer?
The sewer is there already. The sewer's ready to go. It's no problems with it. Sewer and gas, electric's on this side of the building, sewer's down this side. We just need, there's a very small underrated water line that
Okay,
will
so,
carry.
if we look at our fire stations,
Mhm.
Station 1, we renovate. Police department, we renovate. So next on the list should have been Station 2, but with all that's going on out there, we backed off and we went to this one.
Correct.
Station 3 is the oldest, and it's had some upgrades.
It has. In 1993, it had some remodeling and add-ons.
Station 5 had some
That's
mold,
almost 30 years, you know.
had some mold issues, and that's been cleared up. Is that the newest station you got?
That, it's, Station 5 was built in 1974.
What
Yes.
about 3? That's the one
Station
on
3
Wood.
was built in 1948. So
Just
just,
see, it's got that whole separate section out there.
just, Station 1 was built in 1977 and had a significant add-on and remodel in 99, and then we went through and repainted and kind of freshened everything up in 2020. Station 2 is 61 years old. Station 3 is 76 years old. Station 4 is 60 years old, and Station 5 is 50 years old. We got some really old fire stations.
How old is
3
the-
is the oldest.
How old's the city hall fire station? How long
Oh,
was
I
it
didn't,
there?
I forgot now. It's a long time, it's a long time, yeah.
So
It's-
it also in this budget, this coming budget, there are some renovations to Station 5, I think, to
Yeah,
the kitchen.
Kitchen and bathroom areas, replacing countertops and
Kind of upgraded.
dividers in the, around the shower units and the toilets and that sort of thing. Replacing a little bit, we've already replaced some lighting, we've got a little bit more of that to do. And a little bit of ceiling tile, that kind of thing. In the upcoming budget year. We've already did a little bit of work out there, but there's a little bit more to do. We've kind of doing that over, I'm just kind of getting the most pressing, because I know I can't get it all. And taking little bites where I can.
How far off capacity of employees are you?
Today, currently, we are 3 people short. I have another one I'm anticipating to retire in January. We have an applicant pool that, we have one certified that can come straight to work and go to work that we'll be interviewing in the next couple of weeks, and then we have, another group of non-certified that will be they're going through their physical testing right now and that sort of thing. That we'll be ready to hire from around the first of the year. For a spring.
That's
late
better
winter,
than
spring.
16, isn't it?
Whew. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we've hired 17 this year already, and we hit full capacity for about a little less than 2 weeks. But it's a different world. This type of work it's a different climate, different environment, different world. It's looked at a little differently by some, and we're having to adjust to deal with that.
Are you gonna stick with 24 on and 48 off?
Yes, for now, for sure. If y'all don't know, one of the trends that is in the fire service that's moving through the country, and it's made it to our area, it's made it to North Alabama, is a different shift. It's a 48, 2 days on, round the clock, 48 on, 72 hours off. I'm not a fan of it personally. There may be a day that we have to look and do something, but it is not a good quality of life for your home and your family. I'm not sold on that. I know people will say, well, you get 4 days at home, but firefighters typically, they almost always have another job. They have to, and to raise a family, and I'm not a fan of that personally. I think a young unmarried man would love it, but I'm not so sure that a guy that's gonna work a career with you, I'm not sold on it personally. That's me personally.
I've read a lot about it recently.
Yes, there's a lot of trends and a lot of movement on that. Yeah. City of Decatur they're approaching, within a couple months being on it for a year. And I know that there's some other departments in North Alabama that's looking at moving to that now. But
You know one of those, don't you?
I
What
do,
does he think of it?
he likes it.
Okay.
I go back to that young, unmarried. I don't know.
I'm not pushing either way.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, no,
wondering.
no.
I just
A lot of those departments, well, the vast majority of all departments really do not have the close live-in requirement that we have. So it's more advantageous to them to make that long drive, some of them. You know, City of Decatur, they have people that live outside of Nashville and just outside of Atlanta, several that live in Jefferson County that make that drive one time. They're there for 2 days and they don't come back for 4, you know, and it's easier in that respect. But, you know, you have to live a lot closer to here, so that is not a component in it of
Okay.
consideration.
Thank you.
So I guess, where do we go from here?
You can't bill less, and we can't tell builders what they're gonna charge us. Which means you build it and you pay for it. And I expect this to be a 50-year building at least.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and from the start, it's a functional building. Like you said, there's not a lot of fluff. It is what they need I mean, it's their home. I mean, and it's not, it fits into the residential area. It's not a glass building sitting in the middle of, you know, neighborhoods.
Well,
It fits.
I certainly know they poured over it, lots of folks with
Mhm.
lots of, and looking at every nook and cranny of how they do it.
It has to be done. I mean, it's,
So will it meet the fire inspector's code?
Mhm.
So Brian's gonna approve it?
He already has. You know,
Now, when
and
he
the other
gets billed,
thing,
he's gonna change his mind.
yeah, the other thing that if over the weekend, I have spent a good bit of time over the weekend looking at options and ideas before today's meeting to say, is there something that I can honestly come in here and say, I could do without this? You know, well, technically, we can all do without a lot, but, you know, I just shared some information. The city has some infrastructure to take care of in the coming years in lots of places, but the fire stations are one of them with the age of those buildings.
Maintenance?
Facilities maintenance, we
Uh-huh.
do
And
that
then who keeps it-
in-house,
who keeps it
or
clean and all
the
that
guys that
stuff?
work there are responsible for doing housekeeping and that sort of cleaning. And that each of the 3 shifts have their own designated areas on all of the stations that they're responsible for. There's a shift for the apparatus room, the living quarters, the kitchen area, detail cleaning is once a month,
They
stripping
cook their own food.
floors, cooking on.
they
That
used
is
to-
not as big of a thing as it used to be. That part of that change I was referring to earlier, firefighters used to be known for cooking some of the best meals you could find, and they just don't eat that way anymore.
They can make desserts though.
They do go out. I
They
see
do
their
that,
trucks.
yes, they do that. And we keep, you know, the training requirements and the CEUs, all the things have really went up again, that those guys have to do to keep their certifications active. And when they're doing those things and they're pre-planning buildings in the district and meeting all the requirements, they're on the road a lot. They're on the road a lot, they're moving.
So the recreation part and exercise, do they actually use that?
The playground, yes, occasionally. I don't know if the ball field is being used at the moment.
That's not
No.
what she's
They
talking
talk about
about.
their weight room in
They're-
here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry,
They don't
yes.
have one in their, well, all they've got in the current one is a treadmill. and-
Well, we have a treadmill, and if you can get behind
An
the stuff, there's
apparatus,
a
yeah.
weight bench in there, but there's not enough room. We have it.
Will they use that?
Yes,
Is
they
it
will.
mandatory that they use
Yes,
this?
we provide them an hour every shift to work out. Right now, those members pay a membership at a local gym that's down the street and go there.
So the ones I see at the Y, are they having to pay for that membership there?
Yes, yeah, they all of them, some of them give them a little bit of a discount, but most of them don't, and they pay their own membership.
This station is the only one that could not be remodeled and be efficient.
Right.
Because only one current truck that you own will fit in it. No other trucks
None of
will.
the other style of trucks will go in there.
But I will say Station 2 is in pretty
Station 2 is in a dismal state as well. I mean, I don't know if any of the rest of you have, if you have, my apologies, but I know the mayor sent it, we've got the plumbing temporary on the inside of all the walls and running across the ceiling, because the plumbing that was factory in the building is all to pieces. All to pieces, literally.
Had to have two separate lines
Yes.
sit there.
Yes. It'll be a decision have to be made on that, whether to what level we do with replacing that station or an extensive remodel, refurbishment. The other issues as the city, which is a great thing, don't misread me when I say issues, but as the city grows and population moves and demand moves, you know, that's changing where fire stations move and what insurance credits are being applied to the property owners, both residential and commercial. And as those things continue, that's a conversation that we're gonna have, or it's going to negatively affect the public's insurance premiums and that sort of thing. Station 5 is overwhelmed with responsibility out there, the way that fire district is growing. I've got some things that we're gonna take care of in-house to maybe make some adjustments and give them a little relief, but it's still, and I guess some of the guys, if he's recording that and broadcasting, they're gonna say, what are you talking about? Because outside of the command staff, they don't know yet. But we're gonna make some adjustments to try to appease the strain that they're under out there, trying to cover the call volume and load.
So they get called out more than anybody.
They do, and it's the longest, it takes us longer to get it to the calls in that district, because it's so broad, so it's a lot, it's just a large area, and they're not in the optimum place to get there. Some of the heaviest population, residential, and highest property value is the furthest point away from any fire station in Florence, is in that district. Then you've got industrial park that's the opposite direction that same station's still responsible for. So there's a lot of pieces to that. A lot of pieces to it. Anything else?
I think you've done a good job planning it. And you just made up a number of what the cost was gonna be.
I really didn't have anything
And so you just have to
firm.
be,
I've talked to some people, and you see some publicized figures sometimes, and the overage is not advertised, and that goes on a lot.
so,
But
well, you came back at a higher price.
Mhm.
But you were really, your price was what you hoped it would be.
I would love to have sit here and said, and honestly say, we could build that for $4 million, but in today's world, that's not doable. And
And in
I,
6 months, it's gonna be 5.2.
it will only go up.
Should this pass, Chief, how quickly will you begin the work on it?
I think that's when you stepped out.
Sorry.
Somebody asked that a while ago.
Thank
So,
you.
so they are basically at a point, they're kind of waiting on us at this point. If we approve the bids, the purchasing department's got to finalize and put their stamp on the submitted bids, but if we approve, they're ready for a notice to proceed in 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, I apologize, that was my.
No,
number
no,
calling.
I don't
I
blame
have
you.
to take that.
I don't blame you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate the work you've already put in it.
Well, it's a team of people. It's a group of us. It's a group effort.
And whenever your men want to work on it, it shows you that they love their job and they're dedicated to the craft and want to stay there
Right.
and continue working with the city.
Anything else? Unless you've got a question, that's all I had. I know it's getting late. But I appreciate your time, especially on short notice. Coming together.
Thank you, Chief.
You'll You'll be hearing from me soon.
You'll be hearing back
I'm sure I will.
soon.
Yes.
Do you want him to take it to finance?
Well, yeah, we will have to.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be scheduling meetings, so we'll try to get it all at the
Okay.
same time. for
Okay.
each other.
Sure.
Once they finalize the bids, I guess, then.
Yeah, yeah,
Just let me know.
yeah, I will. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Just
Chief.
wanna